Hello, the Pioneer viewers. As you know, our agenda is the Russia-Ukraine war. The war continues on the front line in its all reality. As the war progresses, the losses of the both armies are increasing. Loss management is an important criterion in the war process. Modern states aim to minimize their losses. Although it is very difficult to fight without casualties, it is possible. Where and how military losses are incurred is also an important detail. If most of an army's military losses occur during the combat, the staff intelligence of the commanders is problematic. If most of the military casualties occur outside of the combat, there is a great inexperience. In professional armies, non-combat casualties are also as low as possible. This is because military personnel take necessary maintenance and precautions in a time and manner. When Russia's invasion attempt against Ukraine, non-combat casualties, which are frequently on the agenda, are pushing the Russian army onto a corner. In addition to heavy losses in war, the Russian army also suffers losses outside of the war. Due to the careless actions and inexperience of military personnel, significant Russian losses are also experienced outside of the war. The Russian army has great difficulty in compensating for its losses. We have already reported that the Ukrainian army organizes successful attacks on many Russian targets within the scope of strategic operations. As a result of the attacks organized by the Ukrainian army, the sensitive points of the Russian army were revealed. Thanks to the strategy implemented since the first days of the war, the Ukrainian army has managed to disturb the Russian army's system with very little losses. A fire in Russian military facilities have also attracted a lot of attention in recent days. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to report on the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments with us. Let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. An image that emerged recently was shared by the thousands of people in short time. The shared videos showed a big fire and explosions. As a result of the information provided by the locals, detail emerged. It was determined that a severe fire broke out in the Russian Defense Ministry facility near the city of Kotluban in Volgorod Oblast, about 585 miles from Moscow, the capital of Russia. With the start of the fire, an incredible cloud of fire and smoke formed. Explosions occurred from time to time due to the fire. According to the statements made by the authorities, the fire was brought under control with difficulty. Stating that there were no civilian casualties, the authorities did not share information about the other casualties. The fire broke out in the arms depot just after the midnight local time. The fire was brought out under the control after the hours of work. According to the information obtained from local sources, a drone was heard flying in the military facilities before the fire started. So far, there have been no official confirmation that the causes of the fire is related to the drone activity in the region. However, there are many claims about the cause of the fire. According to the information announced by the Russian Defense Ministry, 2 Ukrainian drones were destroyed in the Bryansk region. It is thought that the attack of the said drones started the fire that broke out in the Russian military facility. While it was stated that there were no civilian casualties, about 40 people living in the region were evacuated to another region. Denis Erofiev, who lives in the region, stated in statements that military exercises are constantly held in the military facilities in the region. On the night of the fire, he said that he heard a big noise when he went out in the balcony. He said that the fire started immediately after the sound he heard. The Russian army has recently been unable to prevent drone attacks organized by the Ukrainian army. As of September 2023, there have been more than 200 suspected drone strikes on the Russian territory. Russian defense systems have failed to intercept the attacks targeting Russian military infrastructures. Ukraine has not claimed responsibility for any drone strikes in Russia or the occupied territories, although Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky has previously said that such strikes would be inevitable, natural, and absolutely fair. The Ukrainian military's success in the use of drones is well known. The Ukrainian army has a very high success rate in drone strike. Ukrainian army engineers continue to develop new technologies every day. In Ukraine, which has witnessed radical changes in the understanding of war, important developments are taking place in the field of the unmanned aerial vehicles. The Ukrainian army plans to include new technology unmanned aerial vehicles into the war in the coming days. Unmanned aerial vehicles produced by the Ukrainian army entirely with the Ukrainian resources pose a great danger to the Russian army. The Russian army is dependent on Iran for the drones. Iranian-made drones are mostly used in Russian attacks targeting Ukrainian territory. The air defense units of the Ukrainian army, on the other hand, successfully thwarted the attacks by the Russian army. The Russian army is struggling to recover from the losses it had suffered. It is looking for the solution, but time is running out. Russia is not getting what it wants in the war, and it's being cornered in the international politics. The European Union is reportedly considering a new crackdown on Russia's lucrative oil export industry by monitoring the narrow Scandinavian waterways through which is a third of Moscow's crude crashes global markets. The European Union has begun work to inspect tankers carrying Russian oil looking for a non-Western vessel and blocking potential Russian ships. The European Union, which is preparing to put an important obstacle to Russia's exports, is cornering Russia further. Experts say EU negotiations are underway for Denmark to control Russian ships in the Danish Straits, the 5 narrow waterways between Denmark and Sweden that connects the Baltic Sea to the North Sea. About a third of Russia's seaborne oil exports pass through this route. In this respect, the Danish Straits represent a potential choke point for Russian crude oil exports, if only the represented plan goes into the effect without discussion. The Danish Foreign Ministry has stated that the General Denmark has consistently supported the strictest sanctions that can be agreed within the EU. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov also refused to answer questions about the aforementioned discussions. Peskov told reporters that everyone should be warned in advance about the need to comply with all the rules of international commercial transportation. Peskov's statements were interpreted as a sign that things are getting worse for Russia. More detailed information on sanctions are expected to be announced in the coming days. What do you think about the huge fire at the Russian military base? What do you think about the Ukraine's attacks on the Russian targets? Do you think Russia has been backed into a corner? What do you think about the new sanctions Russia is facing? We care about your opinions. Please share it with us.